The motherfucking Hardy Boys. They're back, people. They are back. And I'm back too, back in Boston, back at school. After a very long, exciting, amazing WrestleMania weekend. I am so dead right now. We got to speed this up. I got to leave for class in like 20 minutes. So I got to do a short episode here today. But, and my voice is, and it's been 3 days. It's been 3 days, and my voice is still recovering. I'm still not 100%, not even close. My body's killing me from walking and flying and all this other shit over the past 3 days. But no complaints, because it was the greatest weekend of my life. Just amazing shit. So thank you to everyone who was a part of that. I really, really enjoyed it. Let's get right into it, guys. Like I said, I do not have much time, and we got to do a speed round of questions here today before I get going in the next 20, 30 minutes. So we'll get started here. If you want to send in a question, tweet me on the Twitter machine at WrestleRant with the hashtag AskGSM. Find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Graham.GSM.Matthews and leave a comment on this very video, and I can include it in next week's edition. Let's get started here with Prince5835. Coming off WrestleMania, do you think it is a set, clear picture of what WWE is building to for the rest of 2017? Yeah, in a way, I would say so, with like Roman and Lesnar, with Rollins being a new top babyface, Lesnar as the new champion, Orton as the new champion. So yeah, I would say a lot of the stuff they did at WrestleMania is setting up quite a few things for the months to come. I think the Superstar Shakeup might be more of a sign of what's to come in the months to come and in the months ahead. But still, I thought WrestleMania did a far better job than WrestleMania 32 did last year of setting forward the future and not just focusing on past acts and nostalgia moments and shit like that. Second question, what did you think about Kurt Angle's Hall of Fame speech, especially the part about him saying, take chances with your character and how the fans will always remember the characters more than the technical wrestlers? I loved it. One of the best Hall of Fame speeches I've heard in quite some time. He was funny, he was serious, he was emotional, he was straight to the point, he was coming straight from the heart. I loved it. I thought it was awesome. We did not go to the Hall of Fame. I had people asking me that. I did not go to the Hall of Fame with Jason. Thanks to Jason, too, by the way. That guy's a fucking trooper. He had to deal with me for 4 straight days in my markoutitis. But we had a blast, though, so I cannot thank Jason enough for coming with me. We had an amazing time. But, yeah, I almost went. I've never been to I've never been to WrestleMania weekend, but, yeah, I didn't want to go just because I really did not want to sit there for 4 hours, especially considering our first flight was fucking delayed on Friday, our second flight, technically, by 5 hours. We didn't get to Florida until like 5 or 6. I think about 6. We didn't get to our hotel until 7:30, and that's when the Hall of Fame was starting. So I said, no fucking way. I'm definitely not going to that. So, I mean, I would have bought tickets before we had gotten delayed, but we were already going to take over in Mania. There was no point. But yeah, I love the speech. He makes a great point. People will always remember the characters more than the technical wrestlers. Even Daniel Bryan, the guy was a great wrestler from day one, but he really did not cement his place in history until he became like the yes man and became a real personality on WWE TV. Next question. Just like how Mitchell and Ness have a store for retro sports apparel, what do you think of a shop for retro shop for all things WWE? That would be pretty cool. I think shops, I mean, there's already a lot of wrestling shops out there. You really got to look. I know there's one in Connecticut from where I think there's one here in Mass, actually, from where I live here or where I go to school here in Massachusetts. For like retro things, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stores like that, like a comic book shop kind of thing. There's not a lot of them, but there's a few of them around the States, I know. The WWE Superstore was amazing, by the way. Not really a retro shop, but everything WWE. It's really WWE shop online in, real life form. It was incredible. It was attached right next to Access on Saturday, which was also a very fun time. Since you're a Disney fan, what are some of your favorite Disney movies and Disney shows? Disney movies, like all the, Disney, not Disney Channel, Disney movies, Toy Story, Lion King, all that shit. I was a huge fan. I still love to this day. Disney shows, like I said last week, I'm a big Disney Channel guy. Disney movies, loved Halloween Town. Big Halloween Town mark, 'Twas the Night, Ultimate Christmas Present, all great movies. Disney shows, loved Even Stevens, loved So Weird as a kid. That's So Raven was good. I'm sure there's many more I'm leaving out. There was a lot of good shows. That was like the golden age of Disney Channel back in like the early 2000s. Even like Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, I thoroughly enjoyed, even though that was kind of towards the end. I didn't really care for the follow-up show, the spinoff, but the first one was pretty good. Lilo and Stitch, huge Lilo and Stitch mark growing up, so that was probably my favorite Disney show of them all. Amanda 450 Splash, also from YouTube. If you ever go to a WrestleMania again, would you buy the travel package? Probably not. Those things are like thousands of dollars. And I mean, the flight that I got was pretty expensive too, because we got it like the last fucking minute in mid-February. Probably not, though. I really don't have any interest to go to everything at WrestleMania weekend. It seems like a lot of fucking money, especially for two people. If you go with one other person, I don't know if I would go alone. I mean, I almost did this year, but that was just because I had to, and I would have gone regardless. But I don't think so. And in terms of going to Mania again, part of me never wants to go again, just because Sunday was so amazing, and by far and away, needless to say, the greatest wrestling show I've ever been in attendance for. I don't know what can ever really top that. But the other part of me wants to go to New Orleans next year. I got plenty of time, obviously. I didn't decide I was going to WrestleMania 33 until fucking 2 months ago, not even. So we got time, but it's up in the air. We'll look back on this in a couple months, and I'll let you know, maybe even a year from now. We'll see if I'm going to Mania next year, but it would be great to make kind of a annual thing out of it now that I'll be out of college in a year's time, and I won't have to miss class and shit. In your opinion, why were the Raw Tag Team titles defended at WrestleMania and the SmackDown Live's titles were not? Because Raw's tag team division, even as bad as it was before Mania, it was still more relevant than anything SmackDown had going on. I mean, at Fastlane, it was fucking the Club and Enzo and Cass, which was a whatever match. But at least they had more of a story than whatever was going on SmackDown. American Alpha and Usos, although they're better tag teams than whatever Raw had before WrestleMania, they were never on TV. Never on TV. Maybe once in a blue moon, no pun intended, blue brand, but you know what I mean. But they were never on the show. So that's why they weren't on the pay-per-view on Sunday. That's what the Raw Tag Team titles were. They were always getting TV time. They had more of a story. Not much. The feud still sucked. And the match was great at Mania, but the feud going in was not really that good. That's why. Do you see Drew McIntyre winning the NXT Championship? I'm sure he will. I mean, with Nakamura up on SmackDown Live now, and now, I mean, really, who else can beat him for the belt? He already beat Ono, which was weird. He beat him clean in NXT about a month or so ago. But you have Ono, you have Roderick Strong. I could see him being the one to beat him for the belt, but he doesn't have that same momentum right now. I can see it being Ty Dillinger's gone now on SmackDown Live. Who's Hideo Itami, maybe, if he comes back to NXT, and I'm sure he will at some point. It could be, obviously, as you had said, Drew McIntyre. I'm so happy McIntyre's back, by the way. That got the biggest pop of the night at TakeOver, aside from the entrances of Rude and Nakamura. That was crazy. Did not expect that, so I was really happy to see and really happy to hear that Drew McIntyre's coming back. Emmanuel A. from YouTube. There was something about the Rude Nakamura rematch I couldn't put my finger on until I read feedback on TakeOver Orlando, and someone made this comparison. Does Bobby Roode have the same big match style as Triple H? The methodical pace, the basic yet over-dramatic strikes, even the ring bell tease and ref argument looked familiar to me. I bet if Triple H ever tried to do a match with Nakamura himself, it wouldn't be too far off from how the Roode matches have played out. Bobby Roode is pretty much Triple H. In my opinion, infinitely more entertaining. Triple H is great, don't get me wrong, great entrance and everything, but there are a lot of similarities between the two. And anyone who says, oh, Roode isn't a good champion because he can't have great matches, that's so fucking stupid. I mean, aren't you the same people who criticize Roderick Strong for not having a character? Bobby Roode is by far the best character that NXT has right now. The entrance alone, he plays the part wonderfully to perfection. Shut the fuck up with that shit. The guy can't wrestle a match. The guy's not the great Khali in the ring, people. He can have great matches. The both Nakamura matches were really, really good because they told good stories. They don't have to be instant classics in the ring to be a good match. The performances alone, because Nakamura and Roode have charisma. People are engaged. They're interested when they're in the ring. They don't have to be flying around and doing flippity fucking doodahs in order to have a great match. So, I mean, I saw some criticism on that a couple months ago when Roode won the belt. Oh, he won't have good matches. It's like, dude, he fits the part to perfection. Weren't you the same people who were shitting on people like Roderick Strong and all the quote-unquote indie darlings for being good wrestlers but not being good characters? Stop. Next question. But, I know that wasn't your question, but I'm just saying, like, I do agree, though. He is pretty much Triple H reincarnated, even by how he looks. Next question. I've seen some criticism on the Maurice and Miz match versus Cena and Nikki Bella match for being generally basic and honestly maybe the most house show match at a WrestleMania ever. I don't know about that, but I know what you mean. However, I actually liked it for that reason. The crowd was animated, it didn't overstay its welcome, and hit all the notes it wanted to and needed to hit. How do you feel about the match yourself? I agree. I mean, it was a pretty basic match. Again, for anyone expecting a 5-star in-ring classic is dumb, to be honest with you. That was not going to be a great match in the ring. The build was amazing. The match itself was not going to be anything special. But it was good. The Miz really made that match interesting with his mannerisms, the way he drew the crowd in. The Miz was the MVP of that match. Maurice was barely in the ring, for better or for worse. I'm not really sure, but I thought it was a good match. It was all about the moment afterwards, but the match itself I thought was good. So, yeah, it was a house show match, but really, it's fucking John Cena and Nikki versus The Miz and Maurice. What did you expect for most people? I mean, I know you're not shitting on it, but you said you saw some criticism. But, I mean, to those people, what were you expecting? Third question. For a wrestler, do you think the opening match is the second best spot to be on? There is a defense for the Styles-McMahon match opening WrestleMania where the argument is that on from a 5 to 7 hour show, it had a lot more energy being the first match than it would have been the 6th or 9th match. Absolutely. I don't know if the crowd would have been as into it. They probably still would have been into it. We probably still would have been alive for the match had it taken place later on in the show. But it was the perfect opening match. I'm not sure why none of us thought of that. I'm thinking a lot of people thought it would be the women's match or the tag title match with it being ladders and shit. No, absolutely. If you're not main eventing, you might as well open. I think Jericho has said that. Owens has said that. So, and even Jericho and Owens benefited from, taking place earlier on in the evening. It's not like, oh my God, they're on second. That means they're being buried. No, they really kicked off the show on a great note. So that was probably the best match in the entire show, to be honest with you. I'll get back to that momentarily. I don't have too much time. I got to go through a fucking page and a half of questions here. I'm sorry. I'm so fucking dead right now. I'm dying of myocarditis. At Captain Sunshine from YouTube, the Kevin Owens Samoa Joe versus Rollins and Balor match on Raw was weird to me, not because Rollins and Balor were teaming, but because Rollins is apparently fine now. Seriously, he had a non-sanctioned match, harmless match, because no doctor in the world could clear him in time for WrestleMania. He wrestled a 27-minute match where his bad knee was constantly targeted and in danger of being crippled. And one night later, he's fine enough to officially wrestle again. What, did Stephanie going through a table heal him or something? No, I agree. I didn't really get that either. I mean, it was a good match on Monday. I'm glad they did it. But, yeah, logically speaking, Rollins being nearly 100% on Monday really made no sense, considering the shit that he went through on Sunday in his match with Triple H. So, yeah, that was silly, but that's wrestling. I don't know what to tell you. Brandon A., his question from YouTube. First off, I hope you've had an awesome time in Orlando. I appreciate that, man. Thank you. First question, what were some of the positives and negatives of actually being there in person? Could you see the in-ring action, or did you have to look at the screen? Any other details that you think would be interesting about the show and your overall weekend? I wish I could go more in depth to this than I can, just because I gotta go soon, like I said. But positives, just being there, period. The place was a dump. Camping World Stadium, whatever you want to call it, just not a good arena. We could barely find our seats. We got there in time for the kickoff match between Aries and Neville, but it was a nightmare getting there. People were racing every which way. There was people. I had to ask people where to go because I had zero idea. There were zero signs. Fucking confusing as hell. But sitting there in our seats, we literally had nosebleed seats. My nose was not literally bleeding, but I was like the second to last row in the arena. But it was an amazing view. We had a great view of the stage, of the ring. The only match I had to watch the Titantron for, the screens and shit, I had a couple screens around me, was the Battle Royal. I mean, if it was like a one-on-one match, I could see what was going on in the ring. I paid attention to the ring because I can always watch the screens and like what's going on in the screens in my WrestleMania, like when I watch it back on the network or whatever. But the Battle Royal was the only one I had to watch on the screen just because there were so many people. I could barely tell like if someone got eliminated. I had no idea who it was, so I had to watch the screen. Other than that, we had a great view. Interesting notes. The two things that shat my ass all weekend, one being, first of all, at Access, fuck you to the people who got in the handicap line that were not handicapped. I saw all you sons of bitches all getting in line. You were perfectly normal. Unless you had, I don't know, some severe disease. Most people did not have a broken leg, or they didn't look, like they were mentally handicapped. They looked perfectly fine. And they just got in the handicap lines because they could. And the people, it was their problem, partially. Fuck those people for being assholes, and fuck the other people who work at the arena who didn't even check to see if they were handicapped. They were just like, oh, go ahead. They wouldn't even care. I did not do that. I would have felt like a complete douche, but fuck those people. I saw a lot of those people do that, by the way. The second thing, the drunk idiots who go to shows, get wasted. We had a group on Saturday. Jason can tell the story better than I can, but when we were at TakeOver, again, all the way in the back, great seats though. We had a good time. But a couple rows ahead of us, there was this row of drunk idiots, maybe in their mid-20s, early 30s, whatever. And they had no idea what was going on. They didn't even know who these people were. It's not that they were that drunk they didn't remember. They weren't even wrestling fans. They just bought tickets to the show for the fuck of it. Just to be assholes. They were talking about basketball, all this other shit. They were chanting for the section next to us. I haven't watched TakeOver back yet, so I don't know if it got on TV. But at one point, I think right before the tag title match, there was a very loud shut the fuck up chant to our section and the section next to us because they were chanting back and forth for themselves. Like, shut the fuck up and watch the show. It was so annoying, really to the point where it almost ruined my experience at TakeOver. It was a good show, but that definitely hindered it for me. So fuck those kind of people. I've talked with those people before. But yeah, overall, just a really, really, really good time. You have to go to WrestleMania if you ever get the chance. Access is great. TakeOver was a lot of fun. WrestleMania was unreal. The pyro, we were right underneath it. I'll probably talk all about it at another point. I can't right now, but yeah, it was just a lot of fun. It looks like Taker is officially retired. Generally, most people agree that his matches, or at least his opponents, have been pretty good since WrestleMania 17, except for WrestleMania 19, Big Show and A-Train, and WrestleMania 22, Mark Henry. Who should have been his opponent at these two WrestleManias? It should have been John Cena. I know last year Cena got hurt. This year should have been John Cena. Last year, I don't know who else they could have done last. I mean, the Shane match sucked, but I'm trying to think what else they could have done last year to make it a better match. Not Shane, but then who else? Like Strowman, I know is the other idea, which thank God that didn't happen at that point because Strowman still sucked back then. I mean, he's a lot better now. Not still, but he was not good at that point. He's great now. He was not good back then. I don't know, but this year it should have been John Cena. Next question: if Austin faced Hogan at WrestleMania 18, who should The Rock have faced? Also, if that match would have gone on last, Jericho never main events of WrestleMania, but people like Angle, Benoit, and Edge did. In my opinion, Jericho is at least on the caliber of those wrestlers. So, which WrestleMania do you think it would have been the most appropriate for him to main event? I know he faced a bunch of legends on this show, but WrestleMania 25, Michaels and Taker should have main evented, but that was coming off one of his hottest years. So maybe not 25. 26, same thing. I mean, he went in as World Heavyweight Champion, but they closed the show with Angle or with Taker and Michaels as they should have. So I don't know what else he would have done. I don't know, 29 maybe, like Ziggler and Jericho for the world title. If Ziggler cashed in before then and Jericho won the belt, I mean, or vice versa rather. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. That had to have been it for Jericho, because if he didn't main event at 18, he probably would have never main evented. Mark S. Or for the Hogan and Austin thing, for The Rock, again, I have no idea. I'm trying to think of the roster. Like, Rock and Taker would have been cool, but Taker faced Flair when he came back. So maybe Taker, maybe a three-way with H. Austin, H, and... No, Austin, Hogan. Rock, Triple H, and Jericho isn't that bad. I don't know. I mean, he didn't really have many options at that point, so I couldn't really tell you. But yeah, so maybe Rock and Triple H for the belt, I guess. I don't know. Maybe if Rock wins it before then, I don't know what you would have done with Jericho, but I guess he wasn't really that integral to the main event scene anyway at that point. Let's see. Who do you want to see switch brands in the upcoming roster shakeup, and who do you realistically think WWE will move? Who do I want to see? Cesaro and Sammy. I could see Sammy moving. Cesaro, definitely not. He just became the new #1 contender to the tag team titles on Raw, so I don't see that happening. I would like to see Alexa move, switch to Charlotte, just because that kind of freshens up feuds for both women. Enzo and Cass for American Alpha, I could see that. SmackDown needs more tag teams. I know that for a fact. But yeah, that's it for the women. For the men, I've heard AJ going to Raw. I really don't want him to go to Raw, but we'll see. And if he does, Joe going to SmackDown would be pretty great. Joe or Owens, but Owens and Jericho are scheduled for the Raw Payback show later this month. So I have a hard time believing they would axe that match or put Balor in there instead. I don't know. But that would just be weird. So yeah, I'm going to go with probably Joe going to SmackDown. That's who I would like to see move. Who do I realistically think WWE move? Like I said, AJ Styles, unfortunately. I mean, good for AJ for getting on the flagship show, but SmackDown's better. He's really been a big part of why SmackDown's been so great over the past year. And if they do that, then Rollins needs to go to SmackDown. So I've talked about this before, but that's my 2 cents on that. Would you like to see more episodes? Or Marquez has got a couple questions here. I'll start with the first one. What would you think of a triple threat match between Reigns, Lesnar, and Balor as a possible option for Brock Lesnar for the title? Nah, I mean, Reigns, it'd be better than... it's actually not that bad, because I feel like Balor Lesnar one-on-one, it would not be a joke, but I feel like Balor against Lesnar is not believable. But if you put Reigns in there for a triple threat, that would not be a bad match. So I like that a lot. And Balor still has his rematch that he never got. So I like that a lot. A lot better than I thought it would, actually. I would not be opposed to that. Would you like to see more episodes of WWE Superstars and Saturday Night Wrestling shows from the 90s on the WWE Network? I don't know if I would watch it, but more content, the better. With the possible rematch between Aries and Neville, would it be a good usage of a 2 out of 3 falls stipulation, since Neville used underhanded tactics to win the WrestleMania match? Yeah, I mean, I think a stipulation for those guys, like that one, a 2 out of 3 falls match would be great for Payback or wherever. I know the match is now official, so I'll say that. But yeah, that'd be a good idea. Ladder match would be cool too, but we just don't want a WrestleMania, so probably not. And we're going to see one in a couple months on Money in the Bank. Which would you have rated as the best overall event? NXT TakeOver Orlando or WrestleMania 33? WrestleMania by far. I thought I would never say that, but because it hasn't been the case in recent years. But WrestleMania was amazing. Like, not even close. TakeOver was the weakest NXT show I think I've ever been to. It was still a really fun show, a really good show in the whole. But even the live events I've been to, I think that ranks as like number 5. Maybe it was my section being annoying and that's what bothered me, but I don't know, just the matches themselves, I thought some were pretty good, some were great, like the tag team title match, but I thought Brooklyn 1 and Brooklyn 2 were infinitely better. And WrestleMania 33 was one of the best Manias in the past decade, in my opinion, so definitely WrestleMania was better than TakeOver this past weekend. I gotta speed this up. A couple more questions. At Jeremy8911, do you see either New Day or Enzo and Cass getting moved to SmackDown next week? I could see New Day. I mean, I could see either team, to be honest with you. I could see New Day. New Day probably for the better because they've really faced every team on Raw. So I would say New Day goes to SmackDown over Enzo and Cass. I mean, I guess Enzo and Cass have too, but I could, of the two, I see Enzo and Cass moving. But I would like to see New Day move more, I guess. Either one I'd be fine with. I'm actually in full favor of both teams moving, really. At RJ_Marsa, who was also there at WrestleMania, hope he had a great time. I know he had a great time. He actually made his network debut on Sunday when the Hardy Boys come out. You could see him in the crowd. It's pretty great. I posted on Twitter a couple days ago. So, safe travels for Mr. Marceau on his way home. I know he already made it back a couple days ago, but great seeing him this past weekend. Anyways, question was, WrestleMania 33 was very predictable. So what made it work? Worst match of the night, best match, and best moment. I put in my review last night on Next to the Wrestling. I apologize for the delay. All the reviews will be up in the next 24 hours, hopefully. For Raw, SmackDown, 205 Live, all that shit. Anyway, I don't think Mania was predictable really at all. I mean, some matches were. Like, I think everyone kind of knew Reigns was winning. But, I mean, Taker could have won. Goldberg was rumored to have won. So, again, you never know. Wyatt could have won. I got the entire kickoff show wrong with my predictions. No one saw the Hardys coming back to win the belts. I mean, I think some people saw them coming back that night, but I don't think people saw them winning the belts day one. So, I gotta disagree with you there, RJ. I don't think it was that predictable. But what made it work? Above all else, it's because people did not have high expectations. That was the same exact thing for WrestleMania 31. People did not have high expectations, and that's why it was such a great show. because it overexceeded. If people thought this would be a great show, maybe it underdelivered in some respects for WrestleMania 33. But because everyone was like, oh, this is going to be shitty, it's going to suck, it didn't. Because of that, people, the show exceeded expectations, was, overachieved, I guess is the right word. Worst match? Orton and Wyatt. I mean, I know Reigns and Taker was not good. I like the story they told. So I'll put that over Orton and Wyatt, which the match was not good at all. I got to go Wyatt. Orton sucked way more. That was not a good match. I don't agree with the outcome either. I know it was coming, but I don't agree with it. So that was probably the worst. Best match? Aries and Neville was great. Ladder match was great, but I think I got to go AJ Shane. Which, an answer that RJ was waiting for because he has the shirt. He was looking forward to the match. I was too, but not as much as him and Randy Cruz, another great guy. At Randy J. Cruz on the Twitter machine. But, I probably got to go AJ Sheen as the best match of the night. Best moment, Hardy Boys. No question. Motherfucking Hardy Boys coming back. I lost my voice. Greatest moment I've ever seen live. Incredible. At Mr. Singleton 16, what do you think about the Superstar Shakeup coming next week? Does it seem similar to the 04 draft lottery? It does. We'll see how they handle it. I think it's necessary. The rosters do need to be shaken up right now. But I'm looking forward to it. I will be at SmackDown next week, so I will be the first show of the new rosters, I guess. I heard it was continuing on SmackDown, but I guess not. It's only a Raw thing, so I guess we'll see. Not really sure. But, I'm looking forward to it, though. I love the draft shows. With rumors of another Evolution coming, I want to know why it needs to be called that. Why can't they just be called something else? They should be called something else. Evolution is Evolution. You cannot create a second Evolution. When they did it a couple years ago, the reunion, that was great. But you should not create another Evolution with different people. I mean, just create another faction altogether. I agree. Instead of calling it the New Era, do you think New Aggression is a better fit, since most of the changes remind me of the Ruthless Aggression era? New Aggression doesn't sound as marketable, I guess, and what WWE would say is New Era. So, I mean, the Ruthless Aggression era is the Ruthless Aggression era. Let's leave well enough alone. Let's move past that. You're not going to recreate it. You're not going to, be better than it, maybe. Who knows? But you can't call it New Aggression because that's pretty much just telling us that it's Ruthless Aggression all over again, which it was a great era, my favorite era, but it's not the same thing. So I think New Era is fine, although generic, but it's fine. And Sean Markistic. If Styles was to go to Raw, who would you trade from Raw to SmackDown? Like I said, Joe or Rollins or both? I mean, probably, actually, now that I think about it, both guys, really. Rollins and Joe. I mean, I heard Roman, but I really hope not. I mean, I guess it would give Roman a couple new feuds, but just turn the guy heel, and then you got a couple new feuds, but whatever. No, but I think Rollins, for me, I would trade either Rollins or Joe or both. Joe, I think, would be better off on SmackDown. He's been very well booked on Raw, but him and Rollins can continue their feud on SmackDown. You got a new heel in Joe, new face in Rollins. I think it'd be great. So, yeah, Styles can go to Raw, maybe Ambrose too, and then bring Joe and Rollins over to SmackDown. Which tag teams and women do you see switching brands? Like I said, Alexa and Charlotte, maybe Emma. I could see, Summer Rae hasn't even re-debuted yet on Raw, so who cares? But which tag teams? Maybe American Alpha, just to split up Usos and Alpha. Like I said, I would like to see Cesaro. I don't see that happening. Switch brands, but that's not happening. Like I said, either New Day or Enzo and Cass, or really both. I think both teams could need a facelift. So New Day going to SmackDown, I would not be opposed to at all. Best and worst match of WrestleMania. I already talked about this. Best, AJ Shane, probably worst. It's got to be Orton Wyatt, in my opinion. At Scarlet One with Ty Dillinger in the Perfect 10 character translate well to the main roster. It got over huge last night, but that's the post-WrestleMania crowd. We'll see. I hope it does. 10's very catchy. Might become very tiresome very quickly. I hope it doesn't. The guy's a great wrestler. As long as he doesn't become the next fucking Tyler Breeze, that's all I'm content with. Please do not become a joke, an undercard competitor. He can be a great mid-card mainstay, so please make him as such. Do not make him the next Tyler Breeze, which he was dying a death right now. Is fucking Nikki Bella's, parody or whatever. Terrible. Final question, at Servat _221B. Again, if I apologize, if I mispronounce that, I apologize. Is WWE bringing back the In Your House matches from, or In the House, I guess. I'm too busy watching In Your House pay-per-views. Matches from the Attitude Era with the House of Horror match. I don't know what the In the House match is. I don't think I've ever heard of that. House of Horror, I think of the Clockwork House of Horror match that Raven had in TNA. I don't know if he ever did one in WWE or ECW. I know he did one in TNA. So maybe, I assume it's like an asylum match where they have a steel cage and they're just using weapons. That's what I assume it is. Hopefully it's better than whatever the fuck they did in Mania, because that sucked. And that's it, guys. Again, I apologize for the shorter episode. My voice is shot. My body's killing me. I gotta go to class. I almost said SmackDown. I'm going to SmackDown in 6 days, though. It never ends, but I'm not complaining because it was an amazing week. And again, thank you to all that came out. I met a lot of people I've either seen before, good friends of mine I haven't seen in a couple months. Meeting new people. I met Cedric Alexander. I met Graham Metalik. I met Baron Corbin. He was super cool. Told him to unblock me on Twitter. He said he'd look into it. Doubt he will, but it was pretty funny. But anyway, so that was great. Met a lot of new people that I've known from Twitter for years that I finally got a chance to meet in person, which was great. And just other people in general. We were riding in the Uber to WrestleMania. It took like an hour and a half to get there. A lot of fucking traffic. That place, just the surrounding area is very sketchy where the Camping World Stadium is. But anyway, so on our way there, we got a great chat, Jason and I, not only with the driver, but the guy who came with us from our hotel, who was also going to Mania, a dude named Anthony from Australia, which was pretty fucking cool. So great to meet him, great to meet a lot of cool people, just an amazing weekend overall. Hopefully, fingers crossed, maybe Mania next year. Would love to go to the Rumble, but Mania 2 would also be pretty cool, so we'll see. I don't know if anything can top this past weekend, but we shall see. We shall see. So again, guys, thank you for your support. I appreciate it. Tweet me your questions at WrestleRant on the Twitter machine with hashtag AskGSM. Find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Graham.Matthews. Excuse me, I'm dying here. Leave a question on the post I usually put up on Tuesday nights, if not on the wall itself. And drop a comment down below with your question. I'll include it in next week's edition. So with all that being said, guys, get some fucking rest. If you're exhausted as I am for WrestleMania weekend, whatever, get some rest. Heal up. I know I will. I'll be back at 100% hopefully the next couple days. And we'll be back next Wednesday with another all-new episode of hashtag AskGSM. Until then, guys, have an awesome week, and I'll catch your ass down the road.